What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to show it to you right now. This is the new album from the band Pissgrave, entitled Posthumous Humiliation. This is released on Profound Lore Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very raw, abrasive, putrid style of death metal. Yeah. Over the last couple of years, a band like Pissgrave has made their mark in death metal very loud, very clear, and very unapologetically. From their very first self-titled demo to their debut full-length from 2015 with Suicide Euphoria, this band really brought something very special and very discomforting to death metal, with the usage of gory imagery, pitch-shifted vocals, very frenetic and wild guitar riffs, very fast-paced drumming, just an overall sense of fear and urgency listening to this band really made you appreciate what a band like Pissgrave brought to death metal. And this band has been consistently putting out a lot of effort into what they've been doing in terms of putting out music, playing live shows, and just overall adding a lot of mystique to their legacy. Of course, Suicide Euphoria came out in 2015, and I still consider that album to be one of the best death metal debuts in recent memory, and that album still holds up very, very nicely. But it's been 4 long years since we had last heard a full-length from this band, and there had been a lot of question and ideas as to what Pissgrave were going to do next. When were they going to make their next move? How were they going to go about putting out new material? And then, of course, like I figured, if they were going to come out with something new, it would come out unexpectedly and out of the blue. And of course, we got the first taste of this new Pissgrave material in the form of Euthanasia. That song was just so scary. It was so scary. It was so freaky sounding. Pretty much, it felt like business as usual for the band in terms of vocal work, guitar riffs, and all that other stuff. And it just amped up my anticipation that much more for this album. And now here we are with the second full-length album from Pissgrave, their sophomoric effort entitled Posthumous Humiliation. It's 9 tracks, and it clocks in at around 43 minutes in length. And one thing I noticed right away, as far as this album is concerned, is that there is a lot more emphasis on longer songs and deeper psychology. What I feel that they're going for here with some of these longer song lengths and deeper and darker psychology, is that Pissgrave are looking to really make you feel really nervous and uncomfortable with their style of death metal, and it just shows you how smart and intelligent these people are when it comes to producing music, crafting these songs, these riffs, these vocals, this drum style, and to create an album that I feel is not only a lot better than Suicide Euphoria, but a lot darker, a lot deeper, and a lot more menacing. This is this is going to really test your limits, I would say, as far as listening to this band, because what you heard on Suicide Euphoria is nothing compared to what you're going to hear here with Posthumous Humiliation, and it just gets a lot darker and deeper than there, and I really love this album a lot. I would honestly say this is probably my favorite death metal album of 2019 thus far. It is that damn good. If you're familiar with the musical style of Pissgrave, you're going to be in for some seriously dark and twisted songwriting and musicianship being done here. They brought Arthur Risk back to do the mixing and production work on this album, and you can tell that there is a lot of attention to detail. You get that same raw, filthy, and animalistic sound that you got on Suicide Euphoria here on this new album, but I feel that I think that this is a band that really doesn't need to have a clean or cleanly production. This is fine and raw as it is. It doesn't need any sort of extra additions or any sort of pomp and circumstance to it. This is just this Pissgrave sound that you know best, and I think it sounds wonderful here. And as far as the musicianship goes, it's top-notch as top-notch can be. So much craziness going on here throughout this album. Listening to songs like Euthanasia, Canticle of Ripping Flesh, Catacombs of Putrid Chambers, Emaciated. Just some seriously devastating guitar playing going on here throughout this album. The riffs sound crushing. I love the soloing. I love how frenetic and nasty everything is. This is just a very nasty sounding record. In delivery, in contemplation, in idea, it's just very ugly sounding, and I love these guitar riffs. They sound so massive, so deep, especially when it comes to the later elements of the later on in the album with songs like Celebratory Defilement and Rusted Wind. You just get some really awesome guitar playing going on here. Even the moments where you think you're going to be taking a breather, they're going to swipe that rug right up underneath you, and it's just going to go back to more chaoticness and craziness throughout this record. It's just insane. The bass work on here is very good. Like the guitar playing, it has that same sort of raw depth and brutality to it. I definitely like where that's going on this record. But of course, the main thing about Posthumous Humiliation is this guitar playing. It just sounds so heavy, so nasty, and so raw. I really love that a lot. Like the previous album, the drumming on here is something that keeps the ship afloat very nicely. The drum work on here is so persistent. There's a lot of blasts going on, a lot of fast-paced moments. I mean, this is a longer Pissgrave record, but the pace is just as refreshing. I really like what this drum performance does here, especially for some of the lengthier tracks that are on here, going back to songs like Canticle of Ripping Flesh and Catacombs of Putrid Chambers. Just the drum work on those songs alone showcase a lot of depth and stamina. Just a lot of craziness and creativity going on with the drum performance. It's pretty much what you would expect out of a Pissgrave drum style. It's just nasty. It's fast-paced. It's over the top, and the pace just sounds so awesome. And when it comes to the vocals, it's the typical sort of Pissgrave vocal style. Tim is just a beast. I love this guy's vocal style. He has this really depraved, maniacal growl, but he only amps that up with the addition of a second microphone to add that pitch-shifting sort of sound. That's where I feel the early Amon, old Deicide comparisons start to come to fruition when you hear his vocal style. These really nasty, growled sort of vocals being merged and meshed up with these really killer screams and throat. It's just like he's vomiting on the mic. It's another one of those vocalists who vomit on the mic sort of performance. You're gonna get that a lot here with this vocal performance. It's very evil, very twisted, very dark and depraved, and I really love his vocal style here. And I even appreciate some vocal varieties going on here towards the very end of this record. I think in addition to the screams and the growls, you get a little bit more of a lower register. It's scary sounding, and I love this vocal performance. I definitely think it's on par with the last record, if not even better. So overall, if this was well worth waiting 4 years for, if you are a fan of Pissgrave, if you were a fan of the demo and the previous record, I think you're going to love Posthumous Humiliation just as much, if not more. This is some seriously dark, twisted, and fucked up death metal. This is a band that really knows how to pump up the psychology when it comes to the songwriting, when it comes to the musicianship, the deliveries, the production. This is just a top quality band, and I continue to see top quality things happening for this band in the future. This is a death metal band for death metal lovers anywhere and everywhere, and I'll be pretty surprised if I don't see Posthumous Humiliation end up on a couple of top 10s or best of end of the year lists, because I know for sure this is probably going to be on mine. This is a fucking devastating death metal record. So if I had to think of any personal favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say Euthanasia, Canticle of Ripping Flesh, Into the Deceased, Emaciated, and Celebratory Defilement. Absolutely nasty as hell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you some links in the description box as to how you can get a hold of this album and listen to it. I will leave you a link to the Profound Lore Bandcamp, where you can listen to this album in its entirety, hear it for yourself, and be your own judge as to whether you think it's worthy of being purchased or not. You can stream it, buy it digitally, and it is available physically as a CD and 12-inch vinyl. Of course, this is the 12-inch vinyl right here. Even more fucked up album cover than the previous time around. There you see the back cover here with the band members. Very cool stuff. Printed inner sleeve. More fucked up gore. This Pissgrave's Posthumous Humiliation. I mean, I think if you buy it, you're going to get this covering the actual album cover art. Heavyweight black vinyl. There doesn't need to be any flash or creativity as far as vinyl or CD releases. Pretty much the same thing on the CD version. You're going to get this little black sticker on the shrink wrap covering it. So you have an idea that it's available to be sold in retail. But yeah. I don't really think anybody else should be really complaining about this album cover, because if you knew what this band was about and yet you're going to complain about it, I don't know what else to tell you. Pissgrave's not for you then. So, again, the album is Posthumous Humiliation by Pissgrave. This is released on Profound Lore Records. Go check this one out. This is mandatory purchasing. And for a score, I'm going to give this a very solid 9.5 out of 10. I definitely think this is a superior record in comparison to Suicide Euphoria. I definitely think this is the best death metal record of 2019, until something else could possibly take it over. Who knows? We'll see how things go. 2019 still has a lot of great things to come left. So if you happen to have heard this album, definitely let me know what you think about it, how you feel about it, and how you think it compares to the previous Pissgrave releases. Or any of you guys into Pissgrave, definitely let me know. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. Until next time, Army Help out.